Okay, we're live whenever you're ready.
This week on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn the one thing they knew how to do on the show was cast girlfriends for Alex P. Keaton.
3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. What's up? How's it going? Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome. I am your host, Paul Packler. With me, as always, is Corey Pepper. Corey, how are you doing?
I'm great. Are you exhausted? Did you have like an exhausting Saturday or did you have a relaxing Saturday?
I had an exhausting Saturday. First, I got high.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wrote for 5 hours straight.
Okay.
We're trying to write through the rest of this third episode of a series that I'm working on,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a pain in the ass. We're trying to put like 4 different storylines together and have them culminate in the stock market crash of 1929, and
Mm-hmm.
and so it was a lot. So I've been inside cooped up all day. That's why I'm wearing this hat, is because I look like garbage. I figured this affect would make me look like, oh, I'm doing like I've been stuck in the wilds of Cuba on purpose.
Exactly. You shouldn't have ever told the story before that you were holed up for 5 hours. You should have just sort of gone with, yeah, this is why I look like this.
Yeah. So it's just, and then I watched this episode. So I'm just, just been knocked in the back of the head with a 2x4.
And I think the cat's out of the bag from the title of the episode, but we liked Jane Addams tremendously.
Yeah. Yeah. I this episode kind of goes nowhere fast, but it does do it quickly.
It does. It goes nowhere real fast, and then they spend a lot of time doing nothing.
Yeah.
Well, nothing that surprises you anyway, and it's like get to it, and they got to. It took 22 minutes to get to it, so. You know.
It's called They Can't Take That Away From Me. It's season 7, episode 19. Again, another 2-parter episode, back-to-back 2-parters this season. They were just like, let's just eat up as many weeks as we can by only making one story.
And in the ultimate act of laziness, I think I looked ahead and noticed that after next week's conclusion to this 2-parter, it's a clip show before they start another 2-parter.
Is that the final 2-part? Is it the final episode?
I think so.
So it's an hour-long episode. Mm-hmm. The series finale. Guys, we are so close to the end. Corey, do you have any thoughts?
Tough. I'm moist all over. That's all I can say.
What's going to happen when we never talk to each other again? It's going to be so weird.
Oh, I'm sure we'll think of something.
Oh, yeah, we're in the process, gang. Feel free to tweet at us if you have any ideas of what you want to see us take on next.
What was the one? Did somebody suggest to us Full House? Now, I'm sure this is a lovely human being.
Right? If they did, there actually was a great Full House blog called Full House Reviewed. I forget the guy's name, but he also had a show. He went on to do a podcast with some friends. They all live in Oregon, or half of them live in Oregon, and they did all of Saved by the Bell as a podcast, and that's hilarious. But the Full House blog, Full House Reviewed, I spent about a week straight reading about every episode, and it's hilarious. We can't top that, Corey.
Oh, well then, Lord knows I wouldn't want to try. In any case. Yeah, our last episode 19, season 7, episode 19, we start in the kitchen, and Jen is off on her B plot of existentialism.
This is so bad. There was a time in popular culture for some reason that existentialism was the ultimate in being pretentious and or intellectual and or wearing black and or teenagers did this. It's like the philosophical equivalent of reading Catcher in the Rye.
It's almost the next step if you're going that path in life of reading literature and adapting it into your own personal zeitgeist at that time.
Right.
And changing and adapting, with whatever you read, whether you're in your Sylvia Plath era or in your Albert Camus era. I was just, but all these people who start to examine the meaning of life and death and why we're here and is there a greater purpose, they bore the shit out of me. I just
Corey, remember when we were just about finishing up at Snow White, and I picked up a textbook from my sister called "The History of Western Political Thought from Socrates to the Age of Ideology," and I went off to New York. And now I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your silence speaks volumes.
So, Lauren runs in, the lovely Courtney Cox, as vanilla as ever, and they have an enormously long, passionate kiss, Alex and her.
They were like Al and Tipper Gore in the 2000 DNC, where they made out in front of everyone to be like, look, I'd like to fuck my wife.
Yes. It just made me uncomfortable. That's all I could say.
Yeah.
And it's announced that Lauren is going to Detroit to a psychology conference. And simultaneously, as it would happen, Alex is starting to teach, to answer all of our questions over the last maybe 10, 12 weeks as to what's happened to Alex and his education. Apparently, he's in his senior year, and he needs to teach a freshman class in economics. See, there was some complex title. Once again, I turn that off and don't listen to the jargon, the bullshit. He needs to teach a freshman class, and he's starting his freshman class, and after he teaches that, he has to do his thesis, and then he's finished.
Right. Whew, a long, hard slog through higher education. We're very excited. I have a surprise when Alex finally graduates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he wastes no time in jabbing and weaving with Mallory over Grant College. You know, the typical, hey, if I can't call Mallory dumb, I'll call the school that she goes to a school for dummies, and that'll suffice.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Grant College apparently used to have Soupy Sales come in for their speeches. What did he do?
Soupy Sales was a children's comic who specialized in the pie in the face and the spit take. So a very, very upper echelon intellectual, the type that you would have enjoyed when you were a child.
Oh, sure. Is he the one that like either anecdotally or he actually did say to kids, go into your parents' wallet, take out the square things and mail them to me?
Yes, and then anecdotally or really did receive hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. And his job, anecdotally or really, I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Correct. That's exactly the story that I hear about Soupy Sales. He spoke like a character called White Fang.
Okay.
And the character White Fang spoke like this. That was it. That was the whole character. For you improv people out there, it's not exactly the most complex. It was sort of gibberish without it really being a language. And he,
is it based off the Jack London novel, White Fang?
Don't know if it was.
Wow.
And we go straight from this opening kitchen scene into Alex's class. He makes an opening joke to his class. There are crickets, as one would imagine, that Alex would just have crickets after his opening joke. The students just could not give a shit what Alex was saying.
Just imagine going to college and you have to take an econ class and Alex P. Keaton is your professor. That's the worst thing I could think of. Think
to yourself, is everyone a pretentious piece of shit like Alex P. Keaton in this university?
Yeah.
And in runs Quirky Girl. There's nothing more I can say to her. Her name is Marty, and she is a quirky girl. It's played by the lovely actress Jane Addams, who has grown into a terrific actress. I have the role that she played in Twin Peaks written down. It was Constance Talbot. Constance Talbot.
So yeah, Constance Talbot in the new Twin Peaks season that was on Showtime. She plays who's the person that takes care of dead people, like a doctor or whatever, morgue.
Mortician?
Yeah. She works in a morgue and there's like a dead Cadaver, right? And David Lynch and Miguel Ferrer come in, and Miguel Ferrer and Jane Addams's characters have this offbeat, funny, joking, flirty relationship, kind of in the way that Michael J. Fox and her do. But her character is just as quirky in that as this. And the character is very similar. She doesn't fall and act a fool as much. But it's interesting to me because that was the first thing I thought of was Twin Peaks because the characters are so similar.
That Twin Peaks is old enough that Miguel Ferrer is still alive? I feel like he's been dead for some time.
Well, he died right as the show was premiering, but they filmed it, I think, a year and a half before it finally came out.
Right, that makes more sense then.
There were like 3 actors who all passed away as or before the show actually went on the air.
And I almost bit the big one right after watching the first episode.
God damn it. Okay, this is it. This is what we're going to do next season. We're going to do all of Twin Peaks. We're going to do the books. We're going to do the show.
I'm soon into Full House. And then, okay, now I'm trying to read my notes here. It says, Dear Mallory, and then it says the number 6, and I don't know what any of this means.
Wow. Well, I mean, before we even get to Mallory, though, like the classroom scene, Jane Addams is like jumping off of tables and throwing things, and then at a certain, she's like, I'm fine, and she's like, please shut the fuck up and don't make any noise. I'm trying to teach a class. There's a whole class of kids.
Right, and so my note that I wrote down was she seemed, once again, like they do on this show, when they try and make somebody just a little offbeat, they tangentially make them mentally impaired.
Yes.
Like, what's wrong with you, girl? And my question, of course, is when someone's acting in this sort of rude, antisocial, Aspergery kind of way, Alex is popping a chub.
he's after Lauren and some of the other girls, you start to find out that actually Tracy Pollan's character was outside of the realm. He has a different type, and she was just this blip on the radar.
She's the outlier, absolutely, of the girls, because everybody else is a little on the quirkier side than Tracy Pollan was. She was more of an anchor.
Yeah. It's so funny. Like, I wonder what Senator Alex Keaton in 2018, what his wife is like.
Right now, we're wondering on the episode of American Housewife that Logan is filming soon. Mm-hmm. He gets a girlfriend. And we've read the episode, but we have not met. Has not been cast yet. So we'll meet her in another week.
Okay. They're not having him audition with the girls in order to like get chemistry or whatever?
Nah, it's not a large enough role in this episode, and they haven't decided if they're ever going to see her again or not. So they just go on a date in this episode. So it's a Halloween episode. They go on a Halloween party together. What
does his character dress up as? Are we allowed to know?
I'm not going to say.
God damn it! Can you mime it and then we'll?
I fear sometimes I say too much in advance that if anybody ever heard, they'd get like no storylines.
Yeah, I look forward to us getting written up in the Hollywood Reporter as a.
I look forward to it. So she's at one point she has music that comes out of her bag. Marty takes some music like a boombox or something out of her bag, and then at another point she starts crying hysterically. And having watched 7 seasons and 19 episodes of Alex P. Keaton, he's still not enraged. He instead is turned on. I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm not qualified enough to really figure out what that implies about Alex's emotional and relationship desires. But she does all this stuff in this scene, and what's weird to me is that later on throughout the episode, she acts just like a normal, quirky, interesting, nuanced person.
Right. So that's why we said earlier, we like Jane Addams a lot if you excise this scene from the show. In this scene, and then in a few moments, she has like the worst pratfall I think I've ever seen on television.
It should have been on like Circus of the Stars.
She was like arms and legs akimbo, and she was falling on her bum, and she's wearing like, you know, the floppy sunflower hat. It couldn't be more stereotypical. And everything that she babbles incessantly, and she goes from music to crying to, oh, I have no boyfriend and he broke up with me and he stole my bike and I have a cat hair and the cat's fluffy and the cat's bald and then I need tutoring and okay, Alex is going to tutor her. Yeah, I just met a crazy person and yet I'm going to negotiate a price in which I will tutor her. And why? For the obvious reason, because, you know, he's got a job.
How funny is it that back in 1989, Alex P. Keaton, upon hearing, I'll tutor me for an hour, and he's like, no, I'm busy and I've got a life. And she's like, I'll give you $15.
And he goes, yeah, I'll take that.
And now, 30 years later, $15, we have to like fight and claw from capitalist swine to make that at least a livable wage.
Wow. Wow, you just went so Bernie Sanders on us right now.
Well, I am wearing the hat, Corey.
And you're honoring the home state of our show.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So what is this? Something about closing on the but see, there's a joke about closing on the elderly.
Oh, he's like, next week we're going to be reading these 4 chapters, so make sure, and I'm going to be doing this thing where it's about not feeling feelings when you're foreclosing on the elderly.
On the elderly, right. And then we find out, finally, we get an inkling, anyway, of what the title of this week's episode actually means when we find out that the lovely Marty is a music major.
Corey, as opposed to an inkling, don't you mean a tinkling on the keys? Oh!
We sure do get to that soon in another one of the worst scenes I've ever seen in my whole fucking life.
Yeah. So it starts in this like darkened room, and our actor Jane Addams is sitting at a piano, and it pulls back to reveal that she has a grand fucking piano in her dorm room.
In a dorm room, a studio room.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's on top of a bed, as opposed to like saying, oh gosh, it's the 80s. You know what? People have keyboards in the 80s where it's a portable piano that's light and easy to transport.
Hey, remember Big Books?
Exactly.
On the show, it has to be big. That's their thing. That's prop department. Like it's making the biggest grand piano. Something Liberace would fucking use. We're going to put it in her dorm room, which is the size of a restroom.
The only credit I would give this, and they don't deserve this credit at all, neither the props department nor the production team, is with the B plot being about Jennifer and existentialism, that absurdism is an artistic movement based on alienation from existentialism. So having a huge piano in a small room is absurdist comedy.
You're right. That is absurdist. Which one of them is nervous?
Both of them, kind of.
Nervous. And of course, the nervousness is really sexual tension.
Yeah. Like, she's nervous because she's terrible at economics, but at the same time, they're in such close proximity that you just feel sexual tension, and Alex is nervous being in this tightened space or whatever.
And then Alex utters the line that's so Alex P. Keaton. Gee, I wish I could play the piano.
Well, he wishes he could do anything that he puts his hands upon.
It was just so, like, ridiculous. Like, 7 years and 19 episodes, and we've never heard you long to be a musician once. The arts isn't something that you really support very much, Alex.
No, no. And what's funny to me, too, is that neither Jane Addams nor Michael J. Fox know how to play the piano, and this scene is all about them bopping in their chairs to look like they're playing the piano.
And shot the only way you can shoot a scene when you have two people playing a piano, neither of whom know how to play the piano.
Just dead on. Pretty much like how we are right now.
I was just going to say, just like this. All they can do. And it looks stupid. And they didn't rehearse their hands enough to really make it look good.
Right.
And even that last moment where, how did Alex know to go down 2 octaves on the piano to play that last bass note at the very end when he's the one who didn't know how to play the piano? So she teaches him like a vamp, basically a vamp she teaches him. And then she, magnificent piano player, plays the Gershwin piece. They can't, wonderful, marvelous that you fall for me. Right. So plays that, and he does the, I love Gershwin. Oh, yeah, he's a huge Gershwin fucking fan, as we all know. Why don't you talk to us about Debussy and Copeland, too? You piece of shit, Alex P. Keaton.
He just said last episode that he loves elevator music. How is he also a huge Gershwin fan?
It's as if the writers didn't write last week's episode. It's a different staff. They fired everybody. So they sing it, and then this is somebody says. I think she says to him at the end, "You did it."
Did what? Play a riff?
Play the riff. She taught him 3 notes. Bum 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 bum. 3 little bass notes. Bum 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 bum. So you know what? I could teach a chimpanzee to do that.
I also want to point out that they're playing Swonderful, and the title of the episode is "They Can't Take That Away From Me."
Thanks for pointing that out. I couldn't figure it out. Okay, it's all Gershwin, isn't it? No, no, wait. They can't take that away from me the way you. Yeah, is that Gershwin? No, that's Cole Porter.
No, it's Gershwin, isn't it?
It's Gershwin too.
Here, I'm gonna look.
Look it up, because something told me it was Cole Porter for.
Gershwin. It's Gershwin.
It's Gershwin. Okay, at least it's all Gershwin.
But it's just funny. Like, why wouldn't you have them play the title of the show? Why would you?
Why couldn't it have been Swonderful, Smarvelous?
They're both romantic songs. You know, like the way you wear your hat, the way you wore a fucking hat when they first met.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, it goes right into a really awkward moment, which only gets more awkward with a montage that cost a shit ton of money.
Now, let's think back to the salad days of season 3 or 4, when Alex meets, what's her name? What's Tracy Pollan's character's name? Ellen.
Ellen.
Good God. Okay. Delete that, Bryant. I don't want our fans to know that I forgot Ellen's name.
Let everyone be reminded. Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah, we're teaching lessons. Nancy Reagan was right. So with Ellen, they had that montage, the love montage to "What Would You Think I Would Do at This Moment?" And they filmed things where they were like, this is not from past episodes or anything, because they just met.
And they do the same thing.
They do the same thing here, but they spent so much more money. Like, before, it was just them standing outside of a building looking at a leaf.
This was 8 episodes worth of a set and a costume and a shtick. Like, oh, here are the 2 of us going bike riding. Here are the 2 of us at a bed and breakfast. Here are the 2 of us going to a restaurant.
They went to Niagara Falls at one point, which I could not believe.
It was ridiculous. It was the love montage of a character that we've known for 14 minutes.
Yes. And this is the point during the episode where you actually see chemistry between the 2 actors. Mm-hmm. When they're not speaking terrible lines of dialogue. But I just want to really point out, I would recommend this episode just to see Jane Addams, because I can't stress enough that Courtney Cox is such a terrible actor. And to see her in this episode and to see Jane Addams in this episode, where Jane Addams is able to, like, she's quirky, she's nuanced, she has, like, status when she's in scenes with Alex, when the 2 of them are arguing, when the 2 of them are getting along, when they're having, like, real romance at the end of the episode and stuff like that. Spoilers. it's just when you see a good actor versus a bad actor, you see how much they can bring to the table.
You know, it's even apparent in my note-taking. When there's a Courtney Cox heavy episode, my page is very blank. I don't have a lot to say because there is no nuances to it. And Jane Addams, like Tracy Pollan, like Talia Balsam, the other ones that we've really, really liked, Gina Davis, who have had really nuanced performances in this ridiculously poorly written show. They give really interesting performances, and they bring something to it, even though it's not the greatest material.
Right. So the montage is happening to Swonderful, just some like recorded Muzak version, which I guess Alex would have been happy with for his elevator music Jones.
Right.
And that's how they go to commercial. Is on the end, like they have a high five or some shit.
Yep, that's it. That's the act break. So
with that, we'll be right back. And we're back. Wow. You went away from the first half saying, you know what, I feel that there's not a mirroring happening. I don't think Corey and Paul are on the same page.
I wanted to, and you know, I just think it's important to show my love for the New York Mets. So that's always the best thing.
Is that a Mets? What is that on the front?
It's Mr. Met.
Oh, okay. How are they doing this year?
Oh, Paul, you live in New York. Right. I live in Los Angeles.
Are they still playing?
Yes, one doesn't get eliminated during the baseball season. It's not like an elimination tournament.
It was like 70 degrees today, so I figured, oh, maybe it's fall and baseball's over. I wasn't sure.
But it's Labor Day weekend, so no, they're playing. In fact, I'm going to see them. They're here on the West Coast actually right now, and I'm going on Monday. They're here in Los Angeles for the first time this year, so I'm going to go and see them on Monday. Wow. That would be you. What, have you ever been to a Major League Baseball game?
When I was a kid.
You got to a Pirates game at Three Rivers?
Yeah. Three Rivers. Nice. Yeah, right. I've never actually been to PNC Park.
PNC is one of my dreams to go to PNC. It's so beautiful. It's gorgeous. It just looks nice with the Allegheny in the background. It's just nice. Not that, you know, the Allegheny is a beautiful river, but, you know, it looks nice from a distance.
Yeah, exactly.
So we start to Act 2 here with Jennifer Keaton in the kitchen once again, now talking about the meaning of life with her mom, with Elise.
This was a very interesting scene to me. They are dancing around on this show on a Sunday night in 1989, whether or not God exists. That's what they want to be discussing, and because they're such, you know, wimps, they'll never bring it up. But It's a weird scene where they talk about God. But remember they did in My Name is Alex, where he's like, yeah, I believe in God, but maybe he's not a guy with a long white beard. But here they're saying God doesn't exist. And we never really think about the fact that the Keatons never go to church.
No, never discuss it at all.
As a show, you know. And so that's interesting.
And this scene, they're having this incredibly deep discussion about life and its meaning and Camus. And Stephen decides, when asked for his opinion on the subject, what does he venture with? Maybe just a few lyrics from Bye Bye Birdie. Put on a happy face.
Wow.
Gray skies are gonna clear up. That's his philosophy. Put on a happy face.
That show has such good songs in it, but it's one of the worst books ever, right?
And well, it's so incredibly dated that when they do it now, and they've done it in New York, you know, within the last 5 or 6 years, when they do it, it has to be totally a period piece that's totally making fun of that period of time.
Yeah.
In costumes and sets and affect. That you really have to get into the really making fun of the 50s.
You need a dramaturge to do it at this point. Like, it's so...
You sort of kind of do something to spruce the book up. You know, everything written in that period of time, it's funny, I just DVR'd West Side Story, which is being revived both on Broadway, and Spielberg is directing a new version of it for film.
Okay. And
I'm wondering what they're going to do with the script for that, because that too is so dated with the hey crickety crack, hey Jimmy Jack, come on, hey chicka choo choo. You know, they have the beatnik slang that just seems really weird.
Yeah. It just, things can die off, guys. You don't have to keep doing shit.
Tell that to the Catholic Church. That's why they keep speaking in Latin.
Yeah. Well, no, they don't. That's since the 60s, Corey.
Really? They don't do it in Latin anymore? It's not the Latin liturgy any longer?
Wow, the Catholic Church is you're the Mets. I'm like, wait, don't they still play with a cricket bat? Yeah.
That's like an old guy coming in with like an incense thing and Kyrie eleison, Kyrie, Kyrie, Jesu Christo, Jesu Christo, Amen. And that's like, go in peace. The mass is over.
I didn't think it was possible to be racist against Catholics, and somehow
have I just offended all of our Catholic, everyone who's Catholic?
Listen, Catholics need to get over it because they got bigger fish to fry.
Oh, I'm so sorry if I offended anyone. Please, I meant nothing because I'm just a big honking Jew from New York.
As a lapsed Catholic, they can all fuck off. It's fine.
Okay, good, thank God. But if you thought "Put on a Happy Face" was going to be the only piece of show music in this scene, oh, my friend, you're so totally wrong. I didn't write down what it is, but I know it was another show song. What was it?
They sing Tomorrow.
That's it.
Jennifer sings Tomorrow, and then Steven sings Kids from Bye Bye Birdie.
That's it. As if we didn't get enough show tunes. When they started with Sweeney Todd, I was a little upset, but it was nice. I'm glad. Alex,
when Andy starts beating himself singing "Deliver Me."
God. Alex P. Keaton shows up, and he is playing one of his many, many emotions. This one, sad. Comes in, and he just plays.
Mope. He mopes.
He mopes in. That's all he does. He mopes in. And wow. And his hair is like tousled and you could just tell something's wrong. So what does he do? He sits down and has a nice, terrific discussion with his younger sister, Mallory.
Both of them are wearing very good outfits. Yeah. Alex's suit is like a tannish suit, and it's actually fitted as opposed to all the huge... Like, they're starting to go away from the 80s shoulder pads.
Shoulder pads, right.
And Mallory's wearing this, like, black dress or blouse that sort of matches and complements his tan thing, and they both look super cool.
They did. And Alex, sighs very loudly in the scene. He gives out one of these, really like these, a sigh that doesn't have words, so he decided he would give all the import to the scene into this one moment where he goes, oh.
It's just like that, folks.
It's so awful. It's like our dear friend David Beach from Snow White.
Sure.
He's the king of writing the word sigh into tweets.
Really? He's on Twitter?
Oh, or tweets or Facebook. He just, when he does a status update, he enjoys using the word sigh, which infuriates me when anybody does that. You don't need to sigh for me in onomatopoetic form like that. So I know you're going, well, woe is me, I'm a victim. Sigh. That to me, whenever anybody sighs, you're being a victim. You're I'm a victim.
Yeah. You can't sigh out of anger or success.
Really? No, it's just out of, well, I've been wrong. And he and Mallory sit down to sort of like talk it out.
Yeah. He's like, Mallory, you're a moron. You're never gonna understand what I'm going through.
I've disrespected you for 8 years now.
Yeah. And she says, Alex, is it because of Marty Brody? And he's like, what?
Yeah, how did you know?
And apparently, gang, they pull out the reality of what's been going on. So in the first scene, when they meet and Marty, Jane Addams is a basket case, she's like, how about Wednesday? Can you tutor me on Wednesday? He's like, no, how about Thursday? And she's like, no, how about tomorrow? And he's like, okay, that's fine, we can do that. And then the montage that we witnessed at the end of Act 1 apparently happened every night this week.
Right. Instead of tutoring, they went on some sort of expedition together, a date.
Yes, every day, because he was busy before.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to fit her in, but now he's cleared his schedule because he wants to hang out with her. And don't forget, after this week, there's one more week, and
Until
then Lauren comes back. Exactly.
So we go, we go from this into the class, into another classroom situation. Oddly enough, she's no longer mentally impaired during this classroom situation.
Right.
And Alex is no less an asshole and a narcissist, however, and a sociopath. The way he treats the students is just horrendous. But it's very flirty right away between the two of them. You can tell very flirty. And she is very excited about a Cleo Lane concert that's happening on campus that night.
Either that night or the next night. I think it's that night.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, Cleo Lane's one of my favorite jazz singers. She performed, I saw her perform Bess and Porgy and Bess on Broadway. So apparently she's very well traveled, this young lady.
Right. And Alex says, yeah, I saw Porgy and Bess with Thelma Feinstein.
Oh, speaking of Neil Simon type jokes.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Use a Jewish girl's name. It's always good especially for the role of a black woman.
Exactly. Yes. And so
Feinstein was Bess. So she plays him some Cleo Lane on. Maybe that's why she had to play music in that earlier scene, so that we know that she has music available. Right. So she then plays him a little bit of Cleo Lane, who, P.S., was a wonderful singer. She was just terrific. I love it.
Sounded great. The clip that we hear is very nice.
Cleo ended up doing Broadway. Oh, she ended up doing Broadway quite a few times. In fact, I think she did Sweeney Todd. She played Mrs. Lovett, I think, at one point.
Oh, wow.
But she says to Alex, "You want to go to the Cleo Lane concert with me?" And he says, "Oh, I can't because Lauren is coming back tonight." Yeah, it is tonight. Lauren is coming back tonight, so I can't go.
Right. And when she asks if he wants to go, she's asking a little bit more than if he wants to go to the concert. This scene is fraught with.
Yes. Oh, it's fraught with, this is a passion of mine, and so are you.
And you know what? Honestly, in this scene, they are very cute, and you want them to be together. Like, you're like, gosh, like these two actors are just bouncing off each other, and they smile, like they feel like they're having fun with each other as people.
There's a playfulness to the whole scene, so that even though the material is still very mundane, there's a crackling sense to the entire scene.
Yes.
And obviously, who someone says to the other one that we can't avoid this. We can't avoid this any longer.
I think it's Alex. I think he's the one that's trying to like shut this down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
"Oh, yeah, we can't avoid this about how I feel." And then she says to him, quite frankly, in a really good line delivery, "I don't know how you feel," because he's not somebody who ever says how he feels. There's a question. At what age do we as human beings evolve, mature enough that we can say to another human being how they feel?
Arguably never. And then on the other side of the argument, it depends on the person.
That was the answer I was actually expecting, because I arguably never. Yeah, okay, it's possible, definitely possible. But I just wonder that, because having a teenager, he's not capable. If there's a girl that he likes, he's not capable at this point, and nor or his friends, because I've asked, of going over to somebody and saying, "Hey, let's cut this bullshit out. I like you."
That's hard. I mean, that's every 20-something person trying to date in the world. It's.
I guess I remember when I was in my early 20s and dating, I was totally capable of doing it by that point.
Wow.
I was totally capable of saying to some girl who I felt that there was some sort of chemistry with, I said, "Oh, you're adorable." I'd say, "You're adorable. I would love to spend some more time with you. Can we go out sometime?"
Yeah.
I would always say to somebody, "You're adorable. You're so cute. Oh my God, you're so cute. I like spending time with you. I have such a good time talking to you."
Yeah.
You take that, or I don't think you take the boy, I want to bang you. You've got nice big breasts. I'd like to. I don't think that works. That's not something that I ever occurred.
Would have been as successful.
Yes. So they've developed an attraction to each other, and it's quite clear that they've have quite the attraction to each other.
In this episode, he's her teacher, and then he's also her tutor. And I mean, this is very truncated. It happens over the course of a week. But even back then in 1989, they are able to avoid some of the pitfalls of the power dynamics.
It's wildly inappropriate as far as I can see. In 2018, #MeToo movement standards, it's wildly inappropriate. As a teacher of young people, it's wildly inappropriate. I do not just teach children, I teach adults at the other school that I teach, and some of the adults are in their 30s and 40s, and even the adults who I teach are in their 30s and 40s. I'm hyper aware of what I can say, what I can't say, who I can touch, where I can touch you. It's wildly inappropriate for teachers to take step, to discuss things like sexuality and without getting permission first.
Right, of course.
So it's like the whole thing is like, oh man, he really needs to ask consent before he kisses her, and yet he lays a big, sloppy, wet French kiss on her.
But he does, I mean, I'm not trying to argue for Alex P. Keaton in any way whatsoever, but the way he phrases it was like weird. He goes like, I'd like to kiss you now. Would that be all right or something?
So he sort of kind of does ask for permission.
Yeah. But then he does.
Yeah, he does without getting permission.
Right. So yeah, there you go.
It's like, yeah, it's one thing we say, ask for consent. Oh no, get consent.
Right. Yes, this is the
ask for consent is not the end of the period. End of discussion. Hey, can I do this? No. Get an answer.
Yeah. Asking too much for Alex P. Keaton.
Yes. Yeah, wait just a moment. Yeah, in which we always, it's like, let's wait just a moment. I just had a class at school of all girls. I had a 3-week class with all girls, 9 teenage girls, all 15 and 16-year-olds. And by the last class, they simply wanted to like sit around and for a kid who grew up in the 60s and 70s had a rap session with me about growing up female and being a teenager in the world.
What? No kidding.
And how men treat them and their burgeoning sexuality and how they would like to be treated by men and how men in actuality treat them. And they're all from different places in the world. Like I had a girl from Turkey and I had a girl from Mexico and I had a girl from Brazil. And they were all telling me in their parts of the world what is considered to be acceptable for men to be treating women out on the street. And then talking about some of the girls who have more curvaceous bodies. We're talking about how restrained they feel about what they can wear and when they can wear it. And I, as an acting teacher, am trying to empower them to get in touch with sexuality when they're 16 and 17 years old, because that's an important part of being an actor or actress, is to explore that through your characters that have a real life to them.
Sure.
So to encourage them that you still have to encourage that. And I said, so here's the dealio. Dress in lots of layers when going to your audition, but once you get to your audition, feel free to dress correctly for the character. Take off your shirt. It's all right at an audition. Especially given if the Me Too movement has extended to your country, where women can feel just a little tiny bit safer at auditions.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. We haven't heard a lot lately, so I'm hoping that women are starting to feel safer.
Right.
But then, the whole thing that comes up this week with Louis C.K.
Oh, with him going back?
Yeah, and like, what does he get, a life sentence for this? I don't know either. I don't know.
Well, I mean, also, Corey, speaking of New York Institute, if we're talking about this, the New York Institution of the Comedy Cellar, like, you pay when you leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only exit, there's one exit. It's through the basement door up to the street.
Right.
If you're on any side of the stage, you have to get up and it's obvious that you're leaving. Again, you haven't paid yet.
Right.
They don't warn you. You buy a ticket or you get a ticket and to go see the show, and they give you a lineup of people who are going to be there.
Right.
And then there might be other people who drop in. You never know. It's never written in stone who you're going to see when you go to the cellar.
Right.
So for him to go do this, the irony of setting himself up in this situation where he exposes his audience into a situation that they can't escape from and that they have no pre-awareness of is like, you've learned fucking nothing, my friend. So
you had to use the word expose, didn't
yes. So
that one
even if you want to have the conversation of when are people finally given whatever,
it wasn't the way to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, maybe at some point in time, and that's what I'm saying to all of these people, maybe, and I also don't think that the period of time has necessarily been respectful enough.
No.
The length of time. And what's the appropriate length of time? Who the fuck knows? I don't know.
Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I don't know what the appropriate length of time is. But maybe there's got to be a, you know what, there like what my eldest son did before he became a high school teacher, where he worked for a public relations firm doing damage control.
Yeah.
Hire a PR company that specializes in damage control, as I'm sure they should, and work on a long-term plan in which you can do something positive and good before you start doing what you want to do.
Right. Or I don't know, actually make amends.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said, but do something positive.
Yeah.
Try to do something good with your, something socially relevant and positive with your celebrity.
Yeah. Like, he's a smart dude. His whole brand is, I can see through shit and all kinds of, I use my insight to like see through false bullshit.
And of all people, he's the one I am seriously most conflicted about, because I have a genuine enjoyment of his talent.
But he's an asshole.
Absolutely. But I have a genuine enjoyment of his ability to perform his material well.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy watching him perform.
Right.
And there's not a lot of stand-up comics who I do enjoy watching perform, but he's one that I consistently enjoy every time. And I relate to his material, as sick as that makes me. So I don't know. I'm so conflicted. And yet I know this wasn't right this week. So
no, yeah. What was I gonna say about, so they kiss and she at first pulls back, which infer from that what you will.
Right.
And then she pulls forward.
And then we fade into a to be continued.
Yeah. And they're kissing passionately as the to be continued comes up. So
next week, I assume we can see a little bit of Courtney Cox and a little bit of a love triangle.
Yeah, which is honestly, structurally, this is a very interesting setup for a 2-part episode.
So right. So in spite of the fact that nothing really happened this week, something should happen next week. But I have no confidence in their ability to write their 20th episode of the season competently. So that's just it. Hey, congratulations to Scott and Kerry Jones.
Yes, I thought we had done it already because we did it before we started recording. But no, there is a new member of the Quality Time with Family Ties family. Perhaps she will host the show in Scott's stead. Maybe.
I don't know. Shelby may be more available than Scott is. We'll see. But Shelby Jones joined the world on Thursday this week. And hopefully Kerry and Shelby are home and doing well by this point in time, I'm hoping.
Hopefully the whole Jones clan is getting some sleep.
Oh, please. Come on. He can't do a freaking podcast, let alone get sleep.
Wow. I can't even imagine 3 kids running around. What would you do?
I don't know. That's why I had 2 kids 15 years apart. That was the secret of life.
So, yeah, I think that wraps it up for this episode. I would recommend watching this episode for people that are looking for a good Family Ties episode to watch. This is fine.
It is. Absolutely it is.
Yeah. So rate and review our show on iTunes. For questions and comments, email us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at QTWFT for updates. And you can follow each of us on Twitter. I'm at Paul Packler.
I'm at Corpep and Scott's at Follow Jones.
And you can like us on Facebook. We'd like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanbase Press. Fanbase Press is a comic book publisher and an online community supporting creators and fans through daily reviews, interviews, and podcasts that span the pop culture spectrum. Check them out, fanbasepress.com. We'd like to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs Family Ties and our theme song without us. Check out Perry's website, perryadams.com. We'd like to thank Bryant Dillon, who created our fantastic drawing and artwork, as well as edits our show. Bryant is the president and co-founder of Fanbase Press. Follow him on Twitter at Comic Book Slayer. And finally, Sean Foster, Fanbase Press's graphic designer, for designing our logo. Gang, we'll see you next week.
Sha-la-la-la.
Bye.